What do we got here? How Nike rug pulled us all. $200 million scam by Nike, huh? Nike's out here scamming?
So in December of 2024, Nike shut down their $1 billion virtual sneaker platform, and they didn't warn a single investor. They made over $185 million in royalties and dipped. And due to their lack of knowledge in the space, they pulled one of the biggest rug pulls of all time. But the real scandal is what happened behind closed doors. Here's how Nike's virtual empire came to a crashing halt.
Bro, Nike really did scam.
Yo, you know you're fucking Seller K.
We're back, baby. I told you guys, every Wednesday, every Sunday, I say this every video. You guys keep showing me support. I'm gonna keep posting twice a week. And before long, I'm gonna have that 1 million subscriber plaque right there. But before we get into this, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And while watching this, please just give me a chance to explain this stuff a little bit because it may be confusing. Anyways, sit back, relax.
Yeah, I gotta hear this. $200 million.
So,
what I know is, I remember Nike did get into the NFT space with the RFTK shoes, right? But that's all I really know is that those shoes were connected to NFTs, and that was like going to be the segue between Nike and the NFT community and all of that. So that's all I know, though. $200 million, though.
2020, during the peak of this whole NFT thing, people were going crazy. The people who knew about it were getting rich, buying, selling, holding these JPEG pictures. I mean, Twitter even came out with like a verification thing if you had an NFT as your profile picture. But just like me and most of the general public, we were confused. A digital picture that you could just screenshot on your phone was selling for millions of dollars, but yet everybody was saying it was the...
Do you guys remember this era? I remember when NFTs were going crazy. Like, people were legitimately buying NFTs for a couple $1,000s, like 1 ETH, and waking up the next day and that shit be worth like 4 ETH, which was like 20K at the time. So you were literally flipping like 3K into 20K overnight. It was insane. And I remember the peak, the absolute peak of this whole entire market bubble was when seeing Rob Gronkowski on NBC News, like he was on the Squatch Box, talking about how his NFT project was going to be the next big thing, and this was going to be the future of sports memorabilia. And in that moment, everyone should have knew that that is when the bubble would be popped. Because what the fuck is Rob Gronkowski doing talking about financial advice for people to buy his sports memorabilia of NFTs? Okay? Like, that was a crazy time. And I guess Nike got in on the action. Jay, we're diving in. We're diving into this video was called How Nike performed a $200 million rug pull.
It seemed like every celebrity and influencer was dropping or promoting some sort of crypto or NFT thing, and they were advising you to pretty much spend your whole life savings on a picture of like a ape with 3D glasses. And then you had people like Gary Vee who was preaching that it was going to be like the next Google.
Listen. The Gary V friends, I know a lot of people who bought those and lost a ton of money. Like, I'm talking about, they bought Gary V's NFTs for like $300,000 to $400,000, and that shit's not worth anything. That shit is not worth a dime right now. Not worth a dime, bro. Imagine spending $400K on a picture, a digital JPEG, and it's next day it's worth nothing, bro. I was close. I was gonna buy a mutant dog, a Bored Ape mutant dog for $20,000. And at the last second, I was just like, this doesn't feel right. Why am I spending $20,000 on a dog? Like, other than the mere fact that people were saying it's going to go up. But I was like, yeah, that could happen. But like, what if it doesn't? Like, what value is this here? And now I don't even know if the mutant dogs are worth anything. I know the Bored Apes are still worth some, but bro, what a crazy time.
The whole metaverse thing was going to be the future, and everybody was going to be wearing VR headsets and blah, blah, blah. And during this whole craze of like 2020 and 2021, Nike was just sitting back and analyzing what this whole thing was. They were seeing if it was going to stick around for a while, if they should invest in it, you know what I'm saying. And Nike's NFT journey began in 2021 when they decided to jump on the trend and acquire this company called Artifact. It was a virtual sneaker company that made NFTs.
I'm headed to Jamaica
virtual
this
shoes.
Friday.
And for those of you who don't
Alejandro, what's up?
No,
Go Birds! Who said go Birds? Who said go Birds? The Crayon Killer.
NFT stands for a non-fungible token, and we'll get into that in a second. But for Nike, this wasn't just a spur of the moment thing. It wasn't something that they just hopped on quickly to make a quick buck because it was like a trend. Like, I feel like a lot of other influencers
Appreciate
or
you,
celebrities or companies, like, they hopped on this NFT thing, made a quick bag, and then dipped. But Nike wasn't gonna do that. Or so we thought. You see, Nike didn't do this for money. They have enough money. They didn't do this whole get rich quick thing. They didn't do it for a quick buck. Like, they got plenty of money. Nike's plan at the time was they wanted to dominate the metaverse. When it came to the online community, they wanted to be just as big in person as they were online. And at this time, when they introduced this whole NFT thing, like, it was praised. Like, people thought it was really cool and creative, and it was like, it was awesome. And when I say this whole metaverse,
I never have bought one of these shoes for my personal use. I have bought and sold them, but I've never bought these shoes to wear or to like hold. But I have bought and sold the RFTKs.
thing, let's not overcomplicate it here. Think about how you would buy a skin in a digital game, or like on a mobile app, you could pay a few extra dollars, maybe get a few extra lives on the game.
Subway
or like
Surfer.
in Fortnite, how you can pay $5 and buy a character on there and play as the character on the game. You see, you're spending money on a character on the game that's not something that's real life. You can't touch it. You can't, like, it's not like an action figure, you know? Or think about like on a game like Call of Duty, you can pay for extra maps or extra part of the story mode. Or like on
True.
sports games like Madden or 2K, you can pay a little bit of money and get like a digital player that's not included in the original like game. Think about how in Fortnite you could pay like
I get it.
or whatever it was to get Nike shoes in the game.
We
Like,
get it.
This is what I mean by Nike dominating the metaverse. It's not like some weird VR thing that nobody knows about. Like, this is what I mean. Nike wanted to dominate this whole like online metaverse community of like video games. But something like this whole NFT thing, it seems like it was very foreign, but in reality, it's kind of been around for a few years when you put it into like these video game terms. Like, I remember asking my parents when the Call of Duty came out, like if they had this new DLC, if I could go get like a $20 gift card. And trying to explain-
DLCs were like the best. They still are. They were the best thing to happen as a kid, because like after like a couple months, you get tired of playing the same maps, and then boom, the DLC drops, and everybody was rushing to go play the new maps. It was a generational time.
Explain to my parents, like, hey, I want to pay $20
It was
to
just such
get
a great
like
time,
extra
bro.
maps in the game. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a real thing. See, that's what it was like trying to explain this whole NFT thing to people who didn't understand it. But anyway, back to it. Nike wasn't the only company that did this. Brands like Gucci, Tiffany & Co., Dolce & Gabbana, they were also doing this at the same time.
Yeah,
And
it is the same
the
guy.
cool thing about NFTs is that they actually had royalties every time it got sold. So basically, this gave the artist a chance to make money on the back end. Like, for example, when the Off-White Jordan 1s came out, Nike only sold these for $180. And after they sold out, they were going for like $1,500 to $2,000 on the resale market. You see, but Nike only gets the $180 that they sold it for, that retail
Right.
price. Nike doesn't make
Missing
any
out on
money
a lot
on
of
the
money.
$2,000 sale that somebody would buy on StockX. So this also gave companies a chance to make royalties as they go. So when I explain it into that terms, hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so back to the whole Nike NFT thing. So Nike's first thing in the metaverse, I believe, was this Roblox thing. I'm not for sure though. But basically, Nike made this Nike
That's
land
Drake
in Roblox,
and
which
Odell
allowed you to
Beckham.
wear Nike clothes and play in this Nike map with your friends. And they encourage participants to move and engage in like physical activity and stuff. So Nike, around this time, acquired this company called
Think about it, that's some bullshit. They're telling you to go work out in the metaverse. What the fuck? Come on, Nike. Like, I get it. You want to get in there, but like, what type of messaging is that? Oh, go be active in the metaverse. What?
called Artifact. And this was already an established company that created virtual sneakers, and they even had collaborations with Takashi Murakami. So yeah, they were kind of like a big deal. And when Nike acquired and started working with this company Artifact, they dropped their crypto kicks, which were initially
The
trading
crypto
for around
kicks.
3.5 ETH, which was
Yeah.
around $8,000. They only sold about 20,000
$8,000?
20,000 of these NFTs. But it's a thing, like people were paying $8,000 for a picture of a Nike shoe. And one of these NFT pairs of Nike shoes actually sold for $130,000.
What?
This platform actually gained traction.
130K? Nike scammed for 130K? For an NFT shoe?
and had over 40 collaborations, and over time it was looking good. They made $92 million on sales of these NFTs, and then they also made $93 million on these royalties.
They made more money off of royalties. They made more money off of royalties versus the actual shoe.
Every time these NFTs get traded or swapped
Nah,
ownership,
JSAP, we're
whenever
talking
they
about
sell,
Nike.
gets
Nike scam, bro.
a small percentage.
$200
of that.
million.
So $92 million in sales, $93 million in royalties, and over $1.2 billion worth of trade volume. Like, this was set up to be like a big thing. Like, this was popping. But the problem with all this is that they launched it towards the end of the whole NFT hype, and also behind closed doors, they were doing something that others didn't realize. And this was where cracks started to show a little bit.
Uh-oh. This is where the rug pull happens.
Made a deodorant so good, cartels are smuggling it across the border. I
is-
think Friday, February 28th.
Nick, I can send you a code for the Culture Kicks tee, but right now, like, our warehouse is in Tennessee, so everything's like 3PL. So I can't like put, a culture shirt in a box that I'm sending you, if that makes sense.
With this whole NFT and crypto
JT,
world,
what's
if
up?
your
Danny,
stuff
what's
is not
up?
stored properly, then you're at risk of hackers or people taking your online digital currency, right? That's why a lot of people are afraid to own some of these digital things, because they think that people can just get in and hack them and take them. But also, instead of decentralized storage, Nike and Artifact use centralized servers like Cloudflare and GoDaddy. It's like if you stored something at a friend's house, like a photo or a check or something like that, you would have to trust that one friend to keep your stuff safe. If that one friend moves or loses your thing, then you're cooked. Versus decentralized storage would be like if you made copies of that photo or check, whatever it was, and you gave these to hundreds of your friends worldwide. So even if one or two of your friends loses it, you still have it, right? But of course, Nike didn't use that one. They used decentralized storage, which is pretty much like that meme of the Cheeto holding the door lock closed. And this was something that most investors missed. They just trusted Nike that they would do it all the right way, but they didn't. So with this
Damn.
knowledge, the ticking
Sortex,
time bomb
appreciate the
was
corgi.
set. And of course, after the whole success of this whole Nike NFT thing, like the NFT market kind of crashed. Like it seemed like
Dude,
at
it
one
was
time everybody was
miserable.
talking about NFTs. Like everywhere you looked on social media, every YouTube video, every podcast, every article
Everything.
online, it's like it started to feel like the NFTs were going to be like a big thing of the future. But then it was like 2 or 3 months later, nobody cared about them anymore. Nobody talked about them anymore. And after a while, in December 2024, Nike suddenly announced that they were winding down the Artifact operations. And after this, the NFT prices
Dang.
crashed by 60%. It was
Oh
like
my
things that were worth
gosh.
hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars were now worth like a couple hundred, maybe. And it so quickly went from like a thing of the future to now like you're an idiot if you do NFTs. And the company Nike and Artifact that promised these big things in the future, they hyped this up and sold these NFT sneakers at like the highest price possible. And then as NFTs
Bro.
started winding down, Nike pretty much said, you know what, I'm done, I'm pulling out, I'm out. Like, we're not doing anything more. These NFTs aren't worth anything. And they pulled the rug from their own community. And this leads me to the
Damn.
question of what is a rug pull? And by definition, a rug pull is a scenario in the cryptocurrency world where developers abandon a project after raising assets, which leaves participants with worthless tokens.
They did rug pull. That's exactly what they did. Those shoes aren't worth damn near nothing anymore.
Basically, they promised something big and then they abandon the project. But oh yeah, it gets worse. On April
That's like when the stock market crashed in 2008, people were buying home mortgages like crack, then everything crashed. Yes, bro. I was just talking about this the other day. The 2008 crash, that was a crazy time. Insane time. Now, listen, do I think NFTs, just like the crash of 2008, do I think NFTs are worthless and will be worth nothing forever? No. But the like actual projects that are, going to be worth something in the future, you can get on a significant discount right now. And you probably have to pick like, one out of maybe 4 of the bajillion projects that have been made are actually going to do something and be have some sort of longevity. But the fact that Nike pulled out of this is kind of wild too.
24th, 2025, holders discovered that their NFT images were gone. When they logged in to see
They
their
took 'em?
collectibles, a message appeared. And it said, this content has been restricted using Cloudflare's basic service violations, terms of service, whatever, right?
What?
And one member of the whole Artifact team even tweeted this. I'll display it on the screen. And according to this Artifact member, Cloudflare mistakenly terminated their $500K a year contract, which pretty much revealed the truth. These decentralized NFTs depended entirely on a centralized monthly subscription being paid. And this started an uproar. People were mad. Like, especially the people that paid $8 grand or $130,000.
Bro, I've seen this one all the time. This one right here. People bring those up to events all the time and they'll be like, yeah, I paid like $3,000 for these. How much can you give me? And then I look on the markets. RF, are they called KT? What are they called? RF? Yeah. RF. These ones. Damn. Okay, they're still worth something. $700. Do you guys remember too? StockX was gonna do an NFT. StockX was doing an NFT vibe thing too.
The Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Hey Eric, I appreciate that sub, bro. On the 2-month streak, appreciate you for the 2 months, bro. But yeah, this was, whoo, holy shit. $8,000. Now it's $700.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger.
That's
Can
tough.
I take your order?
San, what's up? Lick, what's going on? That's tough, bro. 700? Can you imagine paying 8,000? 8,000? Oh shit.
Especially the people that paid $8 grand or $130,000
Chicken, appreciate
for
the
these,
tiny diny.
like NFTs that weren't even being stored properly. People trusted that Nike, being this huge company, that they would have it all figured out and that they would do like the best of the best. You know, they would do it right. Like a big multi-billion-dollar company like Nike, they would do it right. Like they were trustworthy. And no, they weren't.
Hey, chat, listen. At the end of the day, you are either a for-profit or a non-profit business. Nike is a for-profit business, okay? They are looking to make money at the end of the day. So, yes, they're going to follow trends. They're going to cut back when unnecessary expenses happen, like spending money on NFT fucking shoes when no one cares about them anymore. They're going to cut that shit. And they're just too big right now to, like, even if this blew up, like, no one's like, yeah, even if you boycott Nike, they're too big to fail. They're too big to fail, bro. They're too big to fail. So you can boycott them all you want. You can get mad at them for doing this. But at the end of the day, they're a for-profit business. And they've established credibility for so long in the market. Multi-billion-dollar company that, bro, this gets swept under the rug. $200 million. Seems like a lot of money for us, but they're chilling.
And literally 24 hours after that tweet, like that whole thing happened where people logged in and their NFTs were gone. An investor, somebody who bought these NFTs, literally smacked Nike with a $5 million class action lawsuit. But basically, he's suing Nike for doing a rug pull, hyping up a project, and Nike profited from the sales and also their royalties, and then abandoned their investors. This is literally the definition of a rug pull. Now, it's not like they abandoned them at the peak. Like NFTs died out and then they pretty much abandoned it and they said that like, hey, NFTs are done for, so like nobody cares about them anymore, so we're not gonna do them anymore. But you would think a company like Nike, even with it crashing, they would still follow through with their word and what they said they were gonna do. But that is the story of how Nike rug pulled their investors. Ooh,
Crazy.
That's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I don't know when this one's gonna be posted, but I post every
There you go. Nike doing the dirty. Doing the dirty.